So this is a review that has been a long time coming. Get ready to hit the dislike button down there because I'm not really going to give this a great score. Okay, Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva. This is 10 years ago. This was kind of on the forefront of the rum scene. This was what rum ratings and all the sort of big rum reviewers would recommend to people as, you know, what is the best rum out there? What is the most super premium, awesome offering I can get? It was this stuff, and it was Zacapa 23 and to some extent Plantation 20th anniversary, with the 20 very subtly indicating maybe an age, but not sort of in a legal fashion. These are the ones that people were pointing to as you know the standards of rum. Things have moved on a little bit now that we've got Foursquare and Hamden and other offerings of the sort on the scene. But I've been wanting to review this just to kind of give a point of reference for you, the reviewer, to kind of know where I'm coming from, where my palate is coming from. So I bought myself a bottle, a little sample bottle, 50 milliliter sample of the DRE here, and I'm gonna give it my honest review. I'm gonna be fair on this. I haven't written notes down. I did try a little bit before, but I haven't written any notes down, so this is kind of off the cuff. Here we go. I'm not going to give any water to this. Usually, even with things at 40%, I would give them just a hair bit of water. By the way, you will notice I usually have my little teeny tiny Bunahaben cup for water. Today, I will not have that. I have the largest coffee cup in my cupboard for water. And that will give you an indication of what kind of day this is going to be. All right, on the nose of this Diplomatico. Okay, so smells very column stilly. Diplomatico is made at Distillerías Unidas in Venezuela, which is this huge distillery that makes lots of rum, but also some grain-based spirits. They make lots and lots of stuff. It's a huge factory. Used to belong to Seagram's, the old Seagram's empire, and then it was picked up by Pernod Ricard, Diageo. They're still supplying tons and tons of stuff to Diageo, I know. Basically all of the Diplomaticos, there's a bunch of them. There's the white one, there's the Montuano, which actually, to be honest, I kind of like more than this guy. They changed the range up every once in a while. They did some single still releases a little while ago, which I have not tried. But they make tons and tons of different distillates and then blend them. They make distillates based on molasses, fairly high sugar molasses. They make distillate based on what they call sugarcane honey, which I imagine is a variant on cane syrup. They make rum in basically three different still types. All of them go through an initial cycle in a column, a short column. But from there, they get split up into heavy rums coming out of a pot still, semi-heavy rums coming out of a what they're calling a kettle still, which is this. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just gonna link up this process below, and then you've got the lighter rums coming off of the industrial column still. This smells like it's got a lot of lighter rums in there. Like the majority of this, it feels like came off of an industrial column still. It just got that kind of pencil eraser kind of character to it that meets sort of raw ethanol. Pencil eraser meets raw ethanol, the kind of thing that usually is the dead giveaway for me of something that was that came off of a big column and went into oak afterwards. There's some nice things going on. There's a lot of caramel in this. There's some fruit cake. There's some coffee grinds, both some like used coffee grinds, but also some fresh coffee grinds, Brazilian coffee grinds, like dry processed coffee grinds. Some of the nutty stuff. Actually, there's some nutshell in this too. Certainly little hints of, it's not actually very molassesy. I'm getting more cane syrup than I'm getting molasses. Some vanilla. Lots of coffee notes. Tons and tons of coffee notes. Smells very desserty. So back to the fruitcake thing. It's almost as if like grandma knocked some instant espresso powder into her fruitcake while she was making it. That's kind of the character I'm getting on this. So there is that dried fruity confectionery thing coming through, along with some caramelly stuff. But it's all sort of driven by coffee, and then behind that, the column still eraser ethanol thing. The fact that this is bottled at 40% alcohol is not helping it really whatsoever. I would be much happier with this at 43%, and I think the nose would be better. But I don't think that, like, the nose is not the showpiece here. So let's see what's happening on the palate. And again, this was the go-to rum. These sort of rum recommended to everyone back in the day. I always kind of had a soft spot for this just because it didn't try to fake an age statement like the Zacapa and some of the others did. Like there's no age statement on this. They don't really bother. But it's Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva, and it is what it is. On the palate of this. And there it is. If you go into contemporary rum discussions of this stuff, the first thing that will come up is that it is dosed. What does dosed mean? It means basically added sugar. Basically, a couple of years ago, people started submitting stuff like this, the rums, to hydrometer tests, which is a roundabout way of figuring out how many additives are in a thing, with sugar in particular being one of the additives. This is estimated to have about 20 grams per liter of additives, almost all of which is going to be sugar, you would think. Now, for reference, a can of cola has about between 80 and 90 grams per liter of sugar. So, this is not anywhere near that. So, but you do absolutely pick up the sweetness on the palate. You would never mistake this for a totally dry spirit, if you kind of knew what to look for, at least. Oh, it's very, very syrupy on the finish. Okay, and the flavors are very vague. Again, the strength is not helping this. The sugar is giving it a creamy mouthfeel, but it feels very unnatural. It feels like a kind of Frankenstein spirit, and it feels both too thick and too thin at the same time. Flavor-wise, we're bringing in the sort of pencil eraser meets ethanol-y thing that I get a lot from column still-based rums. We're getting a lot of like overstewed tea. Actually, this reminds me a lot of sweet tea in the South. Like just stuff that you leave it on the porch to bake in the sun, and then you come right out and you have this sort of very sweet overstewed tea concoction that'll keep you up all night and make your teeth hurt. That's kind of the main note I'm getting in this, along with the sort of columny rum notes. There's some fennel in here, which I'm enjoying. There's that little hint of this is a rum. Some like caramelly raisin sort of thing. Yeah, so like Raisinets, but you replace the chocolate with caramel. Ooh. I mean, tasting something like this, the problem is not that this is sugary. The problem is that this is sugary sitting on the shelf next to things which are not sugary, and in a category where people expect that maybe there hasn't been any added sugar to this. Like, diabetics are in the shopping aisles buying rum, and they don't know. They don't know that there's been sugar added to this. Like, because you don't have to disclose that on liquor labels. Jesus. So it's score. This is hard to score. I don't like it. Let's start with that. But the central problem is not the sugar. The sugar isn't helping. The central problem, it feels like the stuff underneath the sugar, the distillate, the character of the casks. Oh, there's a little bit of like a ashy kind of note there too. That's something. Isn't bringing very much. There's not a lot of character here. So it's just you're taking some. So the fact that you're taking something that is maybe not that characterful, and then sort of putting a ton of makeup on it, and then bottling at 40%. The makeup isn't making things better or worse. It's just, but it ultimately the fact remains that you have something underneath all that isn't particularly characterful. And it's the sugar. The amount of sugar here is almost. It's both too sweet and not sweet enough. It's caught in this sort of no man's land. Let me give you some idea of what I mean by that. So this is a Navy Strength Jamaican blend by Company de Zindes. I reviewed this. I enjoy it. I'm going to pour myself a little glass. I ruined my palate for actually being able to taste this, but I can at least nose it. This has no additives, and I've also got myself, oh, look at this. Never thought you'd see this on the channel. It's a bottle of Grand Marnier. I like to use this for making fudge because I love fudge and I love making fudge for people I like. So I'm going to pour a little bit of this. This is a full-blown liqueur. We'll put that there. Okay, so here's the thing about these. I'm going to take a big gulp of water. We'll try the Navy Strength rum. Tons of character on this because it is bottled at a very high strength. It is bottled at 57% alcohol. It's not Navy Strength, but whatever, who cares? It's all pot distillate, as so far as I can tell, at least. So the distillate has tons of character, and it's all kind of coming through there. Hard to taste after the Diplomatico, but again, lots of character, lots of delivery of character. This tastes like Jamaican rum. It's not my favorite Jamaican rum in the world by miles, but this is pretty solid. This is good. And it's a good example of what a good dry spirit should be doing and where the rum community and the rum market has been headed for 10 odd years towards this sort of expression of terroir and character, higher proofs, less additives, less filtration. Sorry, one of my daughter's toys just went off over there. It's saying something. Whatever, never mind. This is representative of the other end of the spectrum from this, like totally dry, except for like any wood sugars. Sorry. We're live. We're live. So my wife is activating all of my daughter's toys in an effort to turn off the toy that just turned on earlier. This is one end of the spectrum away from this, right? The other end of the spectrum would be something like Grand Marnier. So this is the liqueur, right? This is actually sweeter than the Diplomatico. This is faker, right? This is more, there's a brandy base, but they've added all kinds of crap into this. Orange, in particular, tons of sugar. But what they've done is the extra amount of sugar in this and the fact that it has an identity as a liqueur means they can have other stuff in there to balance off the sweetness. There's a lovely sour bitter note coming from the orange, right? Remember, this is a curacao, right? This is a classic old school cordial. The sugar is not the problem. I'm enjoying drinking this. Not necessarily my everyday thing, but I think that the Grand Marnier is actually more pleasant, more drinkable because it has those balancing elements coming through. It has more character from the orange and even a little bit from the brandy too. There's a little bit of what to call it, almost a floral character coming from whatever's underneath this, the orangey stuff. Point being, this is kind of caught in nowhere land. The Diplomatico feels like something that's pretending to be dry. It's pretending to be this, right? It's pretending to be the Navy strength, big, serious rum thing. But it isn't that. They've just added sugar to kind of round it off and make it seem like there's more going on there than it really is. Ooh. Yeah, the sweetness is just bracing. Ugh, but there's nothing... But unlike this, unlike the Grand Marnier, there ain't really nothing to balance it off. So I really don't like it. And I don't... Like, once you know the trick, once you know that there's this amount of sugar in there, like, it kind of starts to lose its appeal really quick. How do I rate this? This is a really hard one to rate. I would give this... I mean, it's not undrinkable. It's not terrible. It just feels... I don't know. There's not much character to what's going on. And then it's all just smudged over with syrupy, sweetie stuff. Let's call this... I don't know. Let's call this a 69 points out of 100. Not the worst thing I've ever had, by far. By far not the worst thing I've ever had. But, I mean, for less money, you can buy a bottle of this Grand Marnier or any number of well-made classic liqueurs. For a little bit more money, you can buy something really characterful. If it doesn't have to be this particular Navy strength thing, you can go out and buy yourself a Hamilton or whatever. That's another option. This just feels like it's... I don't know what this is trying to do. It just feels like something to make people feel a little bit badass, like they're drinking a big, serious, dry, premium rum, when actually it's just coddling them. It's just making them pretend to be something they're not. It just feels kind of sad, you know? So, anyways, that's all I got. 69 points out of 100. Dislike button is right down there. I kind of wanted to do this in a side by side with the Zapata and all those other classics, but I think this is good enough to make the point. Kudos to the producers for at least being like not even faking the age statement, kind of being honest about what they're doing a little bit. But yeah, I'm glad I did not buy a full bottle of this. I'm very glad indeed. Thanks for watching, and cheers.